Hello, and welcome back to Elite English Academy. If you've ever traveled or even just imagined traveling, maybe you already know that the hardest part is not the airplane, not the hotel, and not the long queues. The hardest part is the moment something goes wrong and you suddenly need to speak English under pressure. You want to explain your problem clearly, but your mind goes blank. Your confidence drops. You start thinking, what if I say the wrong thing and they don't? Help me. In today's video, we are doing a travel problem discussion, but not like a boring lecture. You will listen to a realistic conversation that teaches you spoken English **** hookup phrases, polite requests, common expressions, and even a few idioms exactly. The kind of English you need at airports, hotels, and while moving around a new city. Many learners make one common mistake. They memorize random vocabulary, but in real life, they don't know how to build a calm, clear sentence when they are stressed. So please stay connected till the end, because we will also show you how to turn fear into confidence using role play. And we will repeat key phrases naturally so you don't need to memorize. You just need to understand how people actually speak.
Good morning, Aisha. I was just making tea and thinking about how quickly the day starts moving once you check your phone. Answer one message and suddenly you feel like you are already late for everything, even though the day has barely begun. How has your morning been, and are you feeling calm today? Or do you also feel like the week is running faster than you can control?
Good morning, Allie. Honestly, I feel exactly the same way. Because sometimes the morning looks peaceful, but your mind is already planning 10 different things. And that mental noise makes you tired before you even do real work. By the way, what you said the day starts moving once you check your phone is a very natural way to describe a routine in spoken English. Because it shows a sequence and a feeling, not just facts.
Because I noticed that when I say, I woke up, I ate breakfast, I went out, it sounds like a list, but when I say, I woke up and the day just took off, it feels more real and more human. Speaking of that, I keep remembering my last trip because it was supposed to be simple. But one small issue became a big stress, and I realized I didn't have the right English sentences ready for that kind of situation.
I understand you completely. Because travel problems don't just test your patience, they test your communication. And communication becomes harder when you are tired or anxious. Also, your phrase "it was supposed to be simple" is very useful in daily English because we often use it to show expectation versus reality. Like, it was supposed to be quick, but it took 2 hours.
Exactly. And that's the scary part. Because in normal life I can speak slowly and think, but in airports or hotels, people are busy, lines are long, and you feel like you have only a few seconds to explain everything. And then you start worrying. What if I sound rude? Or what if my sentence is wrong? And that fear makes the problem feel even bigger.
That fear is more common than you think. And the good news is, you don't need perfect grammar in those moments. You need clear, polite, practical sentences. Notice the sentence you used. What if I sound rude? This is a very common spoken English pattern for anxiety, and learners can use it in many situations. Not only travel, like interviews, customer service calls, and even school or office discussions.
Aisha, can I tell you something honestly? Even if it sounds a little embarrassing, because I feel like this is exactly what many learners experience, but they don't say it out loud. When I face a travel problem, I can understand English, but I struggle to respond quickly and I start using very short sentences like problem, luggage, not coming. And even though people may understand, I feel less confident and more stressed.
Please say it, because that honesty is the first step to improvement. And it's not embarrassing at all, it's normal. And what you just said is also an important learning point. In stressful situations, learners often use broken fragments. But with a few simple sentence patterns, you can sound calm and organized, even if your vocabulary is basic.
Okay, so here is my real fear, and I want to explain it clearly so the audience can relate to it. When something goes wrong during travel, like a delayed flight, missing luggage, hotel booking confusion, or even a taxi misunderstanding. I feel like my English becomes smaller, and my confidence becomes even smaller than my English. I keep thinking they will judge me, they will ignore me, or I will waste time. And because of that, I sometimes stay quiet, and the problem gets worse.
Ali, that is. Such a real problem, and I'm glad you said it in a full, honest way, because learners need to hear this. Also, the sentence "my English becomes smaller" is not a textbook sentence. But it is very human, and people understand it immediately. In real life spoken English, we sometimes use simple, emotional descriptions like that, especially when talking about confidence.
But here's where I get confused, because I don't know how to balance politeness and urgency. I don't know how to structure my request. For example, if my flight is missed, I want help fast. But I also don't want to sound aggressive, so I keep repeating, please, please. And I feel like I sound helpless instead of confident.
This is an important point, because being polite does not mean being weak, and being urgent does not mean being rude. In English, confidence often comes from sentence structure. Like, "I'm afraid there's been a problem. I need your help to fix it." That sentence is calm, respectful, and clear. And notice the phrase, "I'm afraid." This is a very common expression used in real life to introduce bad news politely. Like, "I'm afraid my luggage didn't arrive." Or, "I'm afraid I missed my connection."
I've heard people say, "I'm afraid" many times, but I always thought it literally means fear, like being scared. I wasn't sure if it fits professional situations, because it sounded emotional to me.
Great observation, and this is exactly why learners get confused. "I'm afraid" can mean real fear, but in service situations, it is often just a polite softener. And yes, it is appropriate even in formal contexts. You can use it at an airport, counter, at a hotel reception, or even in an office email, because it gently prepares the listener for a problem.
So the real issue is not only vocabulary, but the patterns people use. And if I learn those patterns, I can speak more naturally. But I still worry, because in travel situations, people speak quickly. I feel like I will get lost in the conversation and not know how to respond.
That's why we will do something practical now, because the best way to learn travel English is not by memorizing word lists, it's by practicing conversation flow, including mistakes, corrections, and polite negotiation. And don't worry, Ali, you're not alone. And today, we will show the audience a method that reduces fear step by step. Ali, instead of only talking about the problem, let's turn this into a role play. Because role play helps English learners in a very specific way. It trains your brain to produce sentences under pressure, not just recognize them. When you practice role play, you learn how to start, how to explain, how to ask, how to respond, and how to end the conversation politely.
I like that idea, because when you practice like a real situation, it feels uncomfortable at first. But that discomfort is exactly what happens in real travel problems. And if I can handle it here, I can handle it outside too. Can we define our roles clearly so the audience understands who is who, and they can follow the structure without getting confused?
Perfect. So here is the plan. And viewers, please pay attention to the phrases we are using here, because we will pause naturally and explain them. In the role play, Ali will be the traveler, okay? And I will switch roles depending on the scenes. Sometimes I'll be the airline staff, sometimes the baggage service agent, and sometimes the hotel receptionist. And after each small part, we will explain one or two key expressions in a simple, friendly way.
And can we also show small mistakes and corrections, because learners often think they must be perfect? But in real life, even fluent speakers rephrase, correct themselves, and ask for clarification when they don't understand.
Absolutely. In fact, asking for clarification is a skill, not a weakness. So, viewers, keep listening, because you will learn sentences like, "Could you clarify that for me?" And "just to confirm," which are gold in travel situations.
Excuse me, I'm really sorry to bother you, but I think there's been a problem with my connecting flight, and I'm not completely sure what I should do next. My first flight landed late, and even though I walked as fast as I could, I arrived at the gate, and it was already closed. So now I'm standing here with my boarding pass and my suitcase. feeling a bit lost and honestly a little worried. Could you please tell me what my options are and whether I can be rebooked on the next available flight?
Of course. And thank you for explaining the situation so clearly, because that helps me understand what happened without needing 10 extra questions. Let me take a look at your boarding pass and your passport, and I'll check your booking right away. Because missed connections due to delays are common, and we usually have a process for them. While I'm checking, please try to stay calm because this is fixable. And we can usually find another flight, even if it takes a little waiting. By the way, Ali, the sentence, "Could you please tell me what my options are?" It's an important phrase because it sounds polite and confident at the same time. Instead of begging or sounding angry, you are asking for solutions, which is exactly what you want.
Thank you. That already makes me feel better because when I don't know what will happen, my mind starts imagining worst-case scenarios. And that's when my English also gets weaker. Also, just to make sure I'm saying it correctly, is rebooked the right word here? Or should I say something else if I want them to put me on another flight without making it sound like I'm demanding?
Yes, rebooked is the perfect word here, and you used it correctly. If you want to sound extra polite, you can say, "Would it be possible to rebook me on the next flight?" Because would it be possible? It's a very common expression used in real life for polite requests, especially in formal or service situations. Now, I can see your original connection was at 2:10 p.m. and your flight landed at 2:05 p.m., so you really did miss it by only a few minutes. Also, when I say miss it by only a few minutes, some people also say missed it by a hair. That is actually an idiom, and it means you missed something by a very small amount.
Wow, missed it by a hair sounds very native. But I think I should use it carefully, because in a stressful moment, I might pronounce it wrong and confuse the listener. So if I want to keep it simple, but still natural, could I say, "I just missed it," and then explain the reason calmly, like because my first flight was delayed?
Yes, that's a smart approach. And you're thinking like a confident learner? You don't need to force advanced idioms. You can use simple sentences with clear logic. Like, "I just missed my connection because my first flight was delayed." That is professional, understandable, and it gives the reason without sounding like you are blaming the staff. Now, good news. I can rebook you on a flight at 6:45 p.m. today, but there will be a waiting time of a few hours.
I appreciate you checking that for me, and I understand that delays happen. But I also want to ask something carefully, because I'm not sure. What is normal in this situation? Since the delay was not my fault, is there any chance I could receive a meal voucher? Some kind of assistance? Because I'll be waiting for several hours, and I didn't plan for this extra expense.
That's a very reasonable question, and you asked it in a polite way that staff can respond to without feeling attacked. The phrase, "I want to ask something carefully," is also a nice spoken English phrase because it signals respect and reduces tension. Let me check the reason for the delay and the airline policy. The voucher eligibility depends on whether the delay was within the airline's control. If it qualifies, we can issue a meal voucher. And sometimes we can also provide lounge access or a discount on refreshments. And Ali, notice how you said, "I appreciate you checking that for me." That is a slightly more formal, respectful sentence, and you can use it in offices, customer service, hotels, and airports. In informal situations, you might just say, "Thanks for checking," but the formal version sounds very polite.
That makes sense, and I like the formal. One, because in travel situations I want to sound respectful, especially if I'm requesting extra help. Also, just to confirm, if I accept the 6:45 p.m. flight, will my checked luggage automatically follow me, or do I need to report something? So I'm worried it might get stuck in the system or go to the original destination without me.
That is an excellent question, and just to confirm, it's a powerful phrase because it prevents misunderstandings and shows you are organized. In most cases, your checked luggage is tagged to your final destination, and the system will update when you are rebooked. But sometimes luggage can be separated during tight connections. To be safe, I recommend you also visit the baggage services desk and explain that you missed your connection so they can track your luggage and confirm it will be loaded on the new flight.
I hope you can help me, because I'm in a bit of a stressful situation, and I want to handle it calmly. but I also don't want to waste time. I missed my connecting flight due to a delay and I've been rebooked, but now I'm worried about my checked luggage because I'm not sure if it will arrive with me and I have important items inside. Could you please check the luggage status using my baggage tag number and tell me where it is right now?
Yes, I can help you, and you are doing the right thing by coming here early instead of waiting until the last minute. Please show me your baggage claim tag and also tell me your full name and your final destination so I can pull up the tracking information in the system. Based on what you described, your luggage may be in transit or it might be held at the previous airport, but we will confirm it in a moment. Ali, you said I'm in a bit of a stressful situation. That's a very common expression used in real life because a bit of softens the sentence and makes you sound calm, not dramatic.
Here's my baggage tag and my destination is Chicago, but I'm now on the 6:45 p.m. flight. So I'm hoping the luggage can be moved to that one as well. Also, just to be honest, I always feel awkward in these situations because I don't want to sound like I'm accusing anyone. But I do want to be clear that I need my bag because I have my clothes, my charger, and some documents that I need for my meeting tomorrow morning.
You're handling this very professionally, and you're right. Clarity is not the same as accusation. Now, I can see your bag was scanned at the transfer point, but it did not make it onto your original connecting flight, which is expected since you missed it. The good news is that it is currently at this airport, and we can request it to be loaded onto your new flight. I will submit a transfer update, and I'll also give you a reference number, so if anything changes, you can track the progress.
Thank you, and that reference number sounds very useful. Sometimes when you talk to different staff members, you feel like you have to repeat your story again and again, and that becomes exhausting. Could you please tell me what I should say if, worst case, my luggage does not arrive tonight, because I want to be prepared and I don't want to panic at the baggage belt?
That's a smart mindset because preparation reduces anxiety. If your luggage doesn't arrive, you can say, "My bag didn't arrive on my flight. I'd like to file a delayed baggage report." This sentence is important because it uses a correct official phrase, file a report, which is more formal than make a complaint. And if you want to be extra polite, you can add, "Could you please guide me through the process?" Viewers, you don't need to memorize this word for word. Just understand how it is used. The goal is to communicate calmly and clearly.
I like the phrase, guide me through the process, because it sounds respectful and it shows I'm willing to cooperate, not fight. But sometimes staff speak fast and use technical words. And then I nod, even if I don't understand, which later creates confusion. What can I say in that moment to politely slow the conversation down?
Excellent question. And this is a confidence-building trick. You can say, "Sorry, could you say that a little more slowly?" Or, "Could you explain that in a simpler way?" These are very common expressions in real life, and they are not rude at all. In fact, many native speakers use them when they don't understand technical details.
One more thing, and I'm asking because I don't want to make a silly mistake and lose more time. Since my flight is now later, I want to find the right area to wait, maybe get food and keep an eye on announcements, but airports are confusing and signs can feel overwhelming. Could you please tell me where I can find the customer lounge or a quiet seating area? And also explain how I can check if my gate changes? Because I've heard gates can change suddenly.
Absolutely. And your question is very realistic because travelers often feel lost even when nothing is technically wrong. You can go straight ahead and turn left after security, and you will see a seating area near gate B12, which is usually quieter than the central hall. To stay updated, you can check the flight information screens. And you can also use the airline app to receive notifications about gate changes or boarding updates. Ali, you use the phrase, "I don't want to make a silly mistake." Is a common friendly expression that makes your request sound human. It lowers tension and invites help.
Hello, good evening. I'm sorry to arrive looking a bit tired, but it has been a long day with delays, and I'm trying to solve one more problem calmly. I have a hotel reservation under the name Ali Khan, and I booked it online for tonight. But I'm worried because sometimes systems don't update correctly. I want to confirm everything before I assume my room is ready. Could you please check my reservation using my name and the confirmation number and tell me if everything is in order?
Good evening, and yes, I can check that for you. Thank you for sharing your name and your concern in a clear way, because it makes the process faster. Please give me your confirmation number and also show me a photo ID, and I'll search in our booking system. It's just a moment. All right, I'm searching, but I'm not seeing your reservation under that name at the moment.
Oh, that's exactly what I was afraid of. I want to respond calmly because I know it's not your fault personally. But I also need a solution because it's late and I don't have the energy to search for another hotel right now. The email confirmation on my phone, and it clearly shows tonight's date, the room type, and the payment details. So could you please look at that email and help me understand why it's not appearing in your system?
Yes, please show me the confirmation email. And thank you for saying I know it's not your fault personally. That sentence is very important because it keeps the conversation respectful and cooperative. Let me look. I see the booking details, but it looks like it was made through a third-party platform. And sometimes those reservations come in late or with a different name format. Don't worry, we will try a few search methods, and if needed, we can call the booking platform to confirm it.
Thank you for taking it seriously because at this hour, even a small issue feels huge, and I don't want to lose my temper. If the booking platform is the problem, what is the best way for me to communicate without sounding angry? Because I want them to help quickly, but I also want to stay respectful and not create more stress?
That's a very mature question, and it shows emotional intelligence. You can say, I understand issues happen, but I'd really appreciate your help in resolving this as soon as possible. This sentence is common in real life, and it balances patience with urgency. You can also add, I have my confirmation email and I can forward it if needed. That shows you are prepared and cooperative.
Okay, and if I want to ask for an alternative while they fix it, could I politely request a temporary solution, like a room assignment, or at least a place to sit, because waiting standing at the counter feels uncomfortable, and I don't want to look frustrated.
Yes, and your request is completely reasonable. You could say, while we're sorting this out, would it be possible for me to sit in the lobby, or is there a waiting area you recommend? The phrase, while we're sorting this out, is very useful because it sounds collaborative, like you and the staff are on the same team.
So if I say, you must give me a room because I paid, that sounds too strong, right? I feel like in my mind it sounds logical, but when I say it out loud, it might sound aggressive. I don't want the receptionist to feel attacked or become less willing to help.
Yes, you're right. And this is a great learning moment. Must give me a room can sound demanding, especially in English service culture. A better sentence is, I've already paid for the booking, so could you please help me find the best solution tonight? See how it keeps your point strong, but your tone polite.
Aisha, can we also practice a common travel problem outside the hotel? Because sometimes the hotel part is solved, but then the taxi or transport becomes a new headache. For example, imagine I'm outside, it's late. The driver says one price but later demands more. I want to handle it firmly but safely, without shouting or creating a fight. What should I say in a calm, respectful way that still shows I'm not easily fooled?
Yes, that's a realistic scenario, and the key is to stay calm. Use clear facts and set a boundary politely. You can say, I'm sorry, but we agreed on this price before the ride, and I'm only comfortable paying the agreed amount. This is a very important sentence because it is firm without being insulting. If you need to escalate, you can add, if there's a misunderstanding, we can check the fare on the app or speak to the company. Notice I'm only comfortable. This is a polite way to express a boundary. It works in many situations, not just taxis.
It sounds professional, and I like that it focuses on the agreement, not on accusing the person of cheating. And if I feel unsafe, or if the person becomes aggressive, what is a simple sentence I can say to protect myself and end the situation without making it worse?
In that case, you can keep it short and serious. I don't feel comfortable continuing this conversation. Going to step away now. That sentence is formal and calm, and it prioritizes safety. You can also say, I'm going to contact support. Short sentences are fine when safety is involved.
Now that we have practiced polite requests, I want to practice a polite complaint too. Because sometimes the airline staff may offer a solution that doesn't feel fair. I want to express disappointment without sounding rude. For example, if they rebook me but refuse any support, and I've been waiting for hours, how can I say that I'm unhappy and I want them to reconsider while still keeping my tone respectful and professional?
That's an excellent confidence skill, and many learners avoid it because they fear conflict. You can say, I understand the policy, but I'd like to ask if there is any flexibility. Because this delay has caused significant inconvenience. This sentence is formal and strong. The phrase significant inconvenience is common in professional complaints. And I'd like to ask if there is any flexibility is a polite way to request reconsideration.
And if they respond with something fast that I don't understand, like policy codes or rules, and I don't want to nod blindly, how can I ask them to repeat or explain without sounding like I'm challenging them?
You can say, I want to make sure I understand correctly. Could you please walk me through that? That sentence is polite, and it frames your question as understanding, not fighting. Another option is, could you clarify what that means for my booking? Clarify is a strong word for formal situations.
We'll play pause back. Too normal. Honestly, that felt so realistic that I could almost feel the airport stress again. But this time I noticed something different. The moment I had a few strong sentence patterns in my mind, I didn't panic as much. I realized I don't need to speak fast. I need to speak clearly. I need to sound calm so the other person feels safe helping me.
Exactly. And that's the real goal of spoken English. Clarity and confidence, not perfection and speed. Notice how you used the phrase, I noticed something different. That's a natural reflection sentence, and learners can use it to talk about progress. Also, the role play helped you practice 3 key skills: explaining the problem, requesting a solution, and asking for clarification.
And I also liked that we repeated useful phrases in different scenes. Like, just to confirm, could you? Please, I'd appreciate your help, and while we're sorting this out. Because repetition in context feels natural, and it stays in the mind without forcing memorization. I feel like if learners reuse these phrases, they will sound more fluent, even with simple vocabulary.
That's the confidence secret. A few high-quality phrases can carry you through many situations. And viewers, remember what we said earlier? You don't need to memorize this like an exam. Just understand the structure, reuse it, and adjust it to your situation. You can say one calm, organized sentence. You already sound more confident than someone who knows many words but speaks in panic. If today's travel problem discussion helped you, please subscribe to Elite English Academy, because we are building your spoken English step by step with realistic conversations that you can actually use in real life. Also, like this video and share it with a friend who feels nervous speaking English during travel, because confidence grows faster when you learn together.
In our next lesson, we will continue this practical series with a new topic that many learners fear: how to handle a problem at a restaurant. Like when your order is wrong or the service is slow and you want to speak politely but firmly. Until then, keep practicing one small conversation every day. Stay calm and remember, English is not about sounding perfect. English is about making your message understood with respect and confidence.
Thank you for watching. Stay safe, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next video from Elite English Academy.